All right, welcome to Krav Life. My name is Paul Simos, and today I got a special guest with me, Mr. Sharir Richman. How you doing, sir?
How you doing? It's good to be here.
Good. So, Mr. Richman, where you contacting us from?
Jerusalem, Israel.
Nice. And so you are the head of the ICCS, correct?
Yeah, ICCS.
Yes. Perfect. And how long have you been involved in Krav Maga?
I've been involved in Krav Maga. I've been roughly since I'm 18.
Okay.
So many years. Uh, I started ICCS in 2011.
Okay. All right. And so was Krav Maga something that did you start in Krav Maga, or did you have a martial art background before that?
I've been doing martial arts all my life. I've been doing wrestling, grappling, and boxing a lot.
Okay.
And I got involved in Krav when I joined the IDF.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, tell us about how you got started in the martial arts.
It's like a family thing.
Okay.
A lot of times people will tell you, because I got bullied, I started martial arts, and now, no, we were just good at it, It's what we did, yeah.
Okay. So at what age did you start?
6 years old, I'm guessing. Probably.
6. And was when you say it's a family thing, was it like your brothers and sisters, or was your father involved as well?
Like a small family we have, but uncles, it's what it's what you do, it's you fight, you know. So we would have sometimes dinner,
Mm-hmm.
and my grandfather would like take 2 plates away from people, so you and you get out.
Nice. Nice. Did you win often?
Most of the time.
Most of the time. Nice. All right. And so from that childhood setting, it progressed, and then you went into the IDF, right? Yeah. And tell us about your Krav training in the IDF.
Sorry.
No problem.
The crowd training. Well, it depends on. I'm still in the IDF, and I still teach for them.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So it depends on the unit you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of rumors and people think these like Hollywood stuff. The
Right.
truth is, if if you train on a weekly basis in a martial arts school, you probably know more martial arts than a soldier. You know, um, I train the special forces in Israel.
Okay.
Now, you got to understand that the 18 and 19-year-old kids who get drafted. Now they go through a test, a tryouts, which is a week or 2 weeks, usually like a week long, which is very
Mm-hmm.
difficult. And of course, you have to be in shape to be accepted, and you have to have a special kind of mindset. If not, you're never going to make it through. But then the training is between a year and 4 months to a year and 8 months before they're in the unit. And in a year and 8 months, you got to teach a kid who grew up, in a normal life with Facebook and Instagram and
Mm-hmm.
PlayStation. You got to teach. Yeah, he's a great. He's a good mind, but he doesn't know anything. And you got to teach him how to navigate, for example, in the desert without a map by himself at night.
Mm-hmm.
That takes longer than crop, and
Right.
camouflage and shooting, and so that's it, the year and 8 months is like very there's not much place to every minute of sleep or eat, everything is counted for.
Mm-hmm.
Crab instructor usually gets 3 weeks. That's what you get
Okay.
with them. So most of the training is probably a day of technique, I would say in total, and then the rest of the time is just warrior development drills. You
Mm-hmm.
know, making him a peer fighter. You know, be able to switch that mentality on and off when he needs to.
Hmm.
Once he finishes the training and then he's part of his unit, whichever unit it may be, then they have a refreshment training, go some more into technique, more into other stuff, you know. But it's all in the mind. You know, it's just like war development drills, 8 hours a day. I mean, they hate me, and it's difficult, but you know, make sure they get home alive at the end of the day.
Right.
Yeah, that's the main difference I would say between like civilian self defense training to military hand to hand combat training. I don't call it self defense on purpose because it's not.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, that's how it is over there.
Can you explain a little bit more about the difference between self-defense training and the hand-to-hand training? Like, because you split a hair there. You said it's not self-defense. So what is
Yeah,
it?
tell you, I like in my mind, okay, the
Yeah.
way I see fighting,
Hmm.
I don't teach self defense. Okay, for me, self defense is a legal term. Well, that means that if me and you would get into a fight and whatever, I would knock you out, something, and I
Hmm.
get arrested. You know, there's paperwork after a fight. I don't know if people realize it or not, but there's in many cases paperwork you could claim for self defense. You know, and
Yeah.
maybe legally it is self defense, or maybe not, right? But I don't try to defend myself in a fight. I try to kick your ass.
Right.
You know, if you attack me, I attack you right back. I think self defense, even the term, puts you in a weaker point towards your opponent because the line of defense is always going to get breached. So if one person is coming merely to defend himself, and one person is coming, to stab you, to shoot you, to whatever, he
Hmm.
will probably win. But if you understand that you have to attack and you have to, you know, finish the threat as fast as possible, that's a whole other mindset, and that's
Right.
a military mindset. And by the way, there shouldn't be a difference between a military mindset and a civilian mindset because a fight's a
Hmm.
fight.
Yep.
However, I understand that as an instructor, you don't want to scare students. It's not the same kind of people usually coming to those classes or to those classes. You know what I mean? But that's I would say that the main difference is the mindset. You know.
Hmm. So so in your civilian classes, do you try and change that mindset? Do you educate them and say, you know what, no, we're not doing self-defense, so get that out of your mind. This is hand-to-hand combat.
You do
Yeah.
all the time because if here's the thing, and this is one of the problems I have with the Krav Maga world.
Hmm.
Um, I travel all around the world giving seminars, and at least the first time I meet people, I would say that you know what all the Krav students have in common? They're all victims in their head,
Right.
all of them. They have a victim mentality. The guy, the big bad guy, is going to attack me, and I'm going to have to do this and try to defend. But that is a wrong attitude to have.
Hmm.
Think about it like this: Who, you're a Krav instructor, right?
Hmm.
What kind of student, what kind of people go to train Krav or other self defense systems, right?
Yeah.
People who are afraid of fighting. I mean, that's
You,
why they go because they want to learn how to defend themselves, their family, maybe something happened to them or they're hurt, right? If someone loves fighting, he goes and does Thai boxing or
yeah.
MMA, because that's what he loves to do. And I come from both worlds because I coach MMA for many years, and you can see the difference in the people, right? But it's the Krav Maga's instructor's job to take that person who is afraid of fighting
Hmm.
and to make him like fighting because the only not like it, you don't have to like the violence, but fear is a real thing.
Hmm.
Sometimes parents will tell their kids, hey, there's nothing to be afraid of, but that's not true. If a kid says that he's afraid, it's a real thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the only way that I know to deal with fear is to do what you're afraid of, right? So if someone has a fear of heights, he's got to deal with, he got to jump out of a plane or something, go rock climbing. If someone's afraid
Hmm.
of a fight, what does he have to do to get rid of that fear? He has to fight. See
Right.
what I'm saying? So yeah, so sparring. That's why sparring. One of the reasons why sparring is so important.
Yeah.
I mean,
So how? because obviously it's because you're absolutely right. The mentality of an MMA, someone coming into MMA or Thai boxing is completely different mindset than someone looking for self-defense. So how do you get your self-defense students into that mindset? Because you can't
Gradually.
if you okay.
Gradually. There's steps you take. Because if someone, you know the medicine, right? So I know this guy is afraid of fighting, he needs to fight.
Mhm.
But if that guy in the first class comes and I put the gloves on and say, "Oh, go fight," he's never coming back again.
Right.
You're like, these guys are crazy, you know. So you build it up. You build it up slowly, you know. But you could build it up because, I've been doing it all my life basically, and also you take movements like you have in boxing or in wrestling. People don't know them in the beginning, and but once they train after a few months or after a year, they're doing it out of a habit already.
Mm-hmm.
So you could build it up as well. Um, we have a women's class, for example, specialist women's class, and all these women have been attacked or something. So and they're kind of afraid of men, so it's a women only class.
Right.
And what we do is first, you know, slowly we'll build it up. So first stage is they only hit, no one hits them back. So they can hit the bag or person wearing the vest, as hard as they could, but no one's hitting the back. Second part will be they're still hitting. The other person is now shouting at them. He's not touching them. He's just
Okay.
shouting. But and then the fourth part will be they're still striking as hard as they could, but he is not striking hard, but he's just kind of touching them a little bit, pushing them around. No force yet, and shouting. Last stage, and he's going at them,
Right.
and they're going at him right back. They don't even notice the change in them, you know.
Mm.
But you could build it, just like you
And
could build an 18-year-old soldier from Facebook to fighting material. You could build any person with a good instructor.
yeah. And on average for you, like how long of a process is that? That's not like one class. That's
No, depending how many times a week a person will come,
yeah.
I would say it could take about a year.
Okay. All right. And how do you? So if you have the student that is striking the partner, how are you making sure that the partner is not getting hurt?
The partner who's getting striked,
Yeah.
well, he in this kind of drills, he's wearing protective gear.
Okay.
Yeah,
And you've got a special type of protective gear,
yeah,
correct?
we make our own.
Yeah. Can you tell
We
us a
make.
little?
I have a guy who makes it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
But the
Uh,
gear,
yeah.
um, like all I know is that I'm not an expert at materials.
No,
That's
no,
why
no.
that's why I have a guy who is.
Yeah.
All I know is that I used throughout my life a lot of gear,
Okay.
and then it gets worn out, and everything gets worn out eventually. But this is the best gear I've used, and
Hmm.
it's really strong. It could absorb the shock. It could absorb the shock, but also give the person like respect to the punches, which is important.
Hmm.
Also, the person has okay mobility, which in other gears he doesn't have, which is important. It's just, I mean, I have a guy who makes it. He's from the military, so he knows that's what he does. He knows, he has that background. So he knows he doesn't make only that. He makes our military vests as well. Our holsters for the handguns. So
Okay.
and he's been in the field, so he has a good touch with it. So it's not like something knocked off by some Chinese thing or something.
Okay.
It's good stuff. Yeah.
And it's like full headgear too, and
We wear it's a vest.
okay.
We have headgear that comes with it. It's not connected. It's just a helmet with one of those.
Visors.
Yeah, one of those
Yeah.
plastic. The like the cage thing.
Okay.
Yeah, those
Oh, yeah.
visors, the plastic ones.
Yeah.
We've seen him break into people's nose a few times.
Oh wow.
Yeah, with these. So like I'm careful with those.
Okay. All right. And so that's the process of how you get someone from self-defense mindset to
Well, through that was just one example. It's
okay.
usually it's through warrior development drills.
Sorry,
So
through
what I call warrior development drills.
warrior development. Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot. I have a lot of those drills, but they never failed on me, you know. So I mean, I
Hmm.
believe that could get anyone into a warrior mindset. You know, some people will take longer than others, but I could get anyone.
Nice. And so when sorry, when did you open up your studio?
Uh, Maybe 2005.
2005. Okay. And
Two. I had
so
two studios. This one where we're now was an invite only gym. That means only people who I like train here. You know,
yeah.
uh, and I worked with the military here.
Hmm.
And then I had a bigger gym, but with COVID, that I would rent it from the city.
Hmm.
The city never opened it again. I don't know why,
Oh.
but like until this day, everything is open. The city, so I'm only here now.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So since then, um, so how did that? So how did you go from having your studio to um, creating your own Krav organization?
Uh, well, I never really like. I wasn't planning on creating a club organization.
Right.
It's just something that happened. Like I out of the military, I uh, I was teaching after like I was teaching MMA,
Hmm.
and like my passion. And Krav I was teaching, but I was working for a security company, teaching only like I was teaching only private military kind of contractors, VIP protection, stuff like that.
Right.
And I always kind of like made like a separation between the two. Like, oh, now I'm teaching MMA, wrestling, and now okay, now these guys who I know, like some of these guys had to use what I taught them, like right after I taught them. They had dangerous jobs, so I would do that, and then one time, like honestly, I never even YouTube Krav Maga. I had no like, I had no
Yeah.
interest. I
Right.
just love teaching. I love teaching, and I love martial arts.
Hmm.
But I understood these guys. They need this kind of training because. And one day, one of the people who was in Israel and he was doing, I think it was a VIP protection course, told me, I'm a Krav Maga instructor. He was from Europe, and I was like, yeah, that's nice, and he said, I never saw anything like what you do. I'm certified by. He gave me 3 or 4 names, which
Yeah.
yeah, okay. And he said, you should teach like seminars and and I didn't even like. But then he was like crowding me for like 3 weeks about it, and eventually he's like, come over to Europe, give one seminar, just one, and he had the school, and I did, and that's how it started.
Oh wow. Wow. Um, and then how like like how many countries are you guys in right now?
Right now, we're in. I might miss a few, so if I do, I
No,
apologize.
yeah, yeah. Apologize. We apologize to all the countries that we may have missed.
Yeah, we're in the as far as Europe, we're in the UK, we're in
Mhm.
Switzerland, we're in Sweden, we're in Norway, we're in Italy, we're in Spain, we're in Luxembourg, we in wait, I'm probably missing something. We're in the United States,
Mhm.
we're in Costa Rica, so we're all over.
and expanding. Um, no, that's good. So, what do you see as the future for your organization?
I just like I love to teach,
Hmm.
and I love the people I work with, and ICCS. Maybe it sounds cheesy. It's like a family, you know.
Right.
Every I could say that every instructor is a personal friend of mine. You know, which I spend hours every week keeping in contact with people.
Hmm.
So we just we're quality. We just like we get together, we train, and I'm really proud of the fact. that you have in ICCS people who are high level Brazilian Jiu Jitsu who
Hmm.
joined ICCS, people who are high level MMA fighters, people who are high level boxers. I think it shows something about the organization. You
Yeah.
know, in fact, some of them told me, listen, he would have never joined a Krav organization. In fact, before we met you, we thought it's nonsense. You know, but I can speak their language, and they like it. So I mean, we have people here in Israel, we have people in Spain, we have people in Italy who do ICCS and they compete in boxing or compete in MMA or compete in grappling, and they come from ICCS schools.
Hmm.
Which people may be saying, yeah, but what does that have to do with a street fight? Well, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but I'm pretty proud of that. You know?
Yeah. No, that's cool. I know a few of your affiliates, and you definitely get that. They've all said the same thing that you said, is that it's a family, right? And that's kind of, sometimes you miss that in some of the bigger organizations.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't care
so
how big I am. Like, I'm busy anyway.
yeah.
If we get bigger, we get bigger. If not, I just want quality. I
Hmm.
want quality. I want everyone honesty and quality and just like let's just train. You know, and I like that. And I think sometimes you don't have that. Other places. I don't know why, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Um, so for someone that's coming into your studio brand new, what are kind of like the most important things that you want them to take away from the training? Like what would you say is the most important, either mindset or technique or whatever? What do you think is the most important thing a student needs to take away from your
Well,
training?
as far as let's divide it into two. As far as the training, the practical training,
Hmm.
I work a lot on principles. As far as for life, I mean, I would like to think I give people confidence because with
Yeah.
confidence, I mean, you can take it to so many other places, not just in fighting. You can take it to anything. It doesn't
Hmm.
matter how good you are with anything. If you have confidence, you're worthless.
Yeah.
So I would think that's the most important thing. But as far as the training goes, you know, I always drill in the principles. So every topic, take for example knife fighting, or take for example stick fighting, or take ground fighting, etc. Every topic has a set of principles. Then we work on technique. And why? Because people forget technique.
Right.
Right? In a real fight, in fact, person loses 50% of his technical capability just because of pressure. You know, so if a person's like brand new and he knows 30%, he has nothing
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
You know, but what he could have is principles, like what to do. So against the knife, here's two principles. I don't care about the technique. If you're an instructor and it's an instructor course, I expect you to look good because something called an
Yeah.
instructor's position. You got to sell a product. But if you're just a student, I just want you to be able to fight. I don't,
Yeah.
because you understood the principles, it's all good for me. You know, so like with the knife, we have two principles. Attack the hand with the knife and then control it. However you want to do it, man, it's up to you. I'll show you a few ways I think are good, but if you
Hmm.
don't remember those and you were able to pin the knife to the wall, to the floor, to yourself somehow, man, you won the fight. So what difference does it make?
Yeah. Yes. So principle based, based teaching is easier for the student to remember, and then you're expecting them that as an instructor they also have to have their techniques down for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because you got to sell the product. You got to look good.
Yeah.
You look
Well,
good as an instructor,
yeah,
man.
if you can't do the technique, how are you going to teach people? Because you still have to teach the technique, right?
Exactly.
Um, well, that's cool. So what you're saying is that each, like, how granular do these principles get? Like, you have two principles for knife. Assuming you have a principle for gun, and is it just like a principles for like open hand, or is it like different principles
Every
for
topic,
different types of attacks?
every topic, no. So every topic has its principles.
Right.
Like if you go for a knife, like we said, there's two principles. I don't care about the angle, right? If it's from the top, from the side, what difference does it make? You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like people do the 360,
Yeah.
right? I know probably know that 360. That doesn't work. It just doesn't. You know, so if you tell a person, listen, if it's from the side, you do A, from the bottom, do B, X,
Hmm.
and straight go. You can't tell the difference between the angles. If you have to think about the difference, you're dead.
Yeah.
You're lucky to even understand it's a knife attack. It's so fast. So it's principles.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely see the advantage to that, because rather than teaching angles, oh, if it's coming from the top, do this side, do this.
I have two angles.
Um,
Two angles. Either it's somehow going up, down or somehow going into your body. That's it. But
yeah.
also, if you think attack and not defend, it doesn't matter that much. How do I defend this? How do I defend that? Then it gets complicated. When you're thinking attack, it makes life easier anyway.
Hmm. So it's like, you're attacking the knife hand and controlling it.
Not
Right.
blocking.
Yeah.
Attack.
Yeah. Just because blocking puts you in the mindset of almost like backing away,
Exactly.
and space is the last thing you need in a knife attack. Um, so so what would be your principles for non-weapon attacks? Like what are you teaching?
Chokes, grabs.
Yeah, chokes, grabs.
So for chokes, basically, there's position,
Yeah.
and then you're gonna treat the choke as a weapon, which is important, and then you want to turn. So, why am I saying that? Because for example, a lot of people would grab from a choke from behind, they'll grab the choking arm and then go down for a groin strike or something like that.
Hmm.
I believe it's a mistake because the guy's gonna choke you. Now, if he knows how to choke, he has to hold on for 4 seconds, right? So deal with the choke. Get out of that position in grappling and in clinch fighting and in wrestling. What's the weapon? On the ground, what is the weapon? The
Hmm.
position.
Okay.
Not if you're on top or on the bottom. Who's controlling that position is winning the fight,
Okay.
right? Right. So you got to control the position. Understand what I'm saying? What I'll also do, and I do this with every topic, before I teach someone how to escape a choke, I'll teach them how to choke.
Right.
Show them how to. He, this is a blood choke. I'll show them at least. Sometimes we get up to 30 chokes, and two great things come from that. One, they know how to choke, which is a great.
Hmm.
Two, you never know when you want to use it, and two, you respect it, and you
Right.
start to understand. When I tell someone, listen, you can't escape a choke. You could escape a choke attempt, not a choke. If the choke is locked on, it's a blood choke. It's over.
Hmm.
People say, man, no, you can't. You can't, right? And then when you get choked, you start to, now I know what you mean. Because look at MMA fights. You have world champions in grappling who get choked and either tap or go to sleep. They don't escape. Once it's locked on, what
Yeah.
to do? What do they escape? The fight, the position,
Hmm.
right? But then he said, yeah, but we in Krav, we do this, we do that, we can hit your balls. That's nonsense. All I have to do is hold on for 3 or 4 seconds. And you got to respect your enemy. You have to respect your enemy. He's not going to let go just because you hit him once. I wouldn't.
Right.
You got to plan to fight the baddest, meanest man out there, not some wimp.
Hmm.
And I feel like sometimes an instructor, not on purpose, just because he doesn't have that fighting experience, he there's a lack of respect for your enemy. That will get you killed in battle. And I teach military. That will get you killed. You gotta respect your enemy. So we don't do sparring because we kill people. What a load of crap, man. I mean, I'm
Hmm.
sorry. Come on, you know that's not a real fight. Like I come from both worlds. Let me
Right.
tell you something. The cage closes. Someone wants to kick your head off. I don't care if there's rules or a ref. That's a real fight.
Hmm.
And the sensation that you get in there is the closest closest you're gonna get to a real fight too. You see what
Right.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
So how do you not respect that? That's what he does. Like we just said that before. Their mentality, pretty soon does full contact is to fight. You think he's afraid? He cares if it's in the street or not. He'll fight you anywhere. He likes it.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So you have that. It's like only in the self defense. I'm not saying Krav world, but the whole self defense community. You
Hmm.
have people claim they're this and that and other thing, but they don't have to prove it. We don't spar. We all actually, and it's all choreographed. So
Yeah.
to an untrained eye on YouTube, that looks amazing. But to anyone who has any full contact experience, like, nah, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
Imagine walking into an MMA gym or a jiu-jitsu gym and saying, I'm world champion or I'm a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Not only are you going to have to prove it in 30 seconds, but there'll be a line out the door of people wanting to fight you just
Yeah.
because you said,
Yeah.
right? That's the main difference between the two. So I like to combine those two. Like, that's for me, a person who wants to train Krav, he has to be just as good because you don't know who you're going to fight. You got to be good at it. No excuse. You got to be able to fight on the ground. You got to be able to fight standing up. Yeah, you don't want to fight on the ground, but if you want to be able to stand up, you got to know what the ground is.
Exactly.
Because the first time you get put in the ground, you'll be talking Chinese before you stand up.
Yeah.
You know what I
And
mean?
it's a whole different game, being on the ground on a mat versus outside on asphalt or rock or.
It is a whole other game.
Mhm.
But take a person who's used to ground fighting, that's what he does.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what he does.
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah, and heaven forbid you have to face someone that was an MMA person or a Muay Thai or a Jiu-Jitsu guy.
take a scenario, for example. There's two people, they're at a bar, both of them had a little too much to drink. Okay?
Mhm.
One guy has been doing Krav for the last 2 years. He comes once a week to Krav class. How long is a class? An hour and a half?
Yeah.
Out of that, he's doing a warm up for 15 minutes, he's doing cool down for 20, he's flirting for 5. He trains 30 minutes. We both know that's true. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? He trains whatever. So that you combine all that once a week for a year, it comes out to nothing. And he never fought in his life outside the gym. His instructor told him, listen, all you got to do is kick the guy in the groin and poke him in the eye, you win the fight. Theory. He's never done it because he's never had full contact experience.
Yeah.
And next to him, there's a guy who wrestled. They're both 30 years old. He's been wrestling since he's 6 years old. That's all he
Mm.
does. They face each other. Who's going to blink first? His double leg takedown or his eye poke? See what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's all he does. And every time he did it, there was someone who was resisting him 100%.
Hmm.
That's why you got to respect. Once you respect it, you become more dangerous to them. Once you
Yeah.
don't, yeah,
Yeah. Well, exactly. Um, no, I like that. I like the thinking of the choke or the grab as that's the weapon and you have to deal with that first, just like you would with a knife or a gun, right?
exactly. Because if you don't get out of the position, you get choked.
Hmm.
Take a gun for example. I don't know how in the United States you don't have that problem as much because people are armed. Um, Europe, most instructors never shot a gun in their life,
Yeah.
but they teach gun disarming.
Yeah.
Wait a second, you don't even know how the gun works.
Hmm.
Shouldn't you go to the range at least once in your life, understand about the gun before you're going to teach gun disarming? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I always, in instructor courses, I always teach about the gun. I realize I can't always take everyone to the range, but this is how it works. You should know there's different kinds, but and there's about an hour class, and that is enough usually for at least at an instructor's position not to lose his credibility. Because if you take one of those instructors who teach and he'll teach a group of cops, they won't listen to a word he's saying, even if his technique is good, just because he doesn't know how to hold a gun at the end.
Yeah.
So he just looks stupid.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. There's a lot of Kravis that have never fired a gun. Yeah, and it shows. But no, I definitely agree with that. So when you're training the person, All right. Let's talk kind of like beginner, because I'm assuming that your advanced level classes are really intense and stuff like that. But with the beginner classes, what sort of I guess intensity level do you have them at? Like, what is it? Are you mostly drilling? Are you mostly teaching the principles, like a technique? Like, what's going on in those classes?
If it's a beginner's class, first few months are going to be mostly on the topic of striking,
Okay.
getting them a foundation in something.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the striking aspect is the most important foundation. A, because it gives you confidence. You get a workout out of it, of course, but also because no matter the scenario you're gonna end up in a street fight, you're gonna have to strike your way out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no limit to how good you could become in striking. So you have to give them like, if I would show someone a gun disarm on his first 2 weeks, I mean, he might feel that he's cool, but he's really not, you know. So if it's a special course, of course, yeah, it's different. But
Yeah.
if it's a guy, a guy or girl who's just coming to a normal class and he goes membership, and yeah, I'll build it up. I'm gonna build that up.
Mm-hmm. And what's like? Do you have like for? I'm going to use the term self-defense again, but do you have do you prefer that your students punch or do palm heels or elbows? Like, do you find some stuff more effective for self-defense?
Elbow is the most effective strike.
Mm-hmm.
I think the three most effective strikes would be the elbow, the knee, and the headbutt.
The headbutt.
Now, the headbutt you can't really practice in sparring, and either you can also the elbow, because you'll cut people's face open
Right.
or knock them out. So you could put on protective gear, but that's higher level because you can't trust a beginner to throw a weak elbow. See what
No.
I'm saying? Right. So you work the pads a lot, they work the bags a lot,
Mm.
elbows, because at least you get that into their habit. So this is you're sparring, you're just throwing punches or kicks and punches. You can't elbow because we don't want people getting hurt. But you got to remind them constantly that hey, an elbow strike is a great strike. We also have something. We have an ICCS. We have something called a program called street boxing.
Okay.
And actually, I got a few affiliates through that from boxing schools who really liked it. What I'll do is I take boxing, which everyone knows boxers have the best punches and head
Mm-hmm.
movement, leg movement. Leg movement is extremely important for a street fight because of multiple opponents, right? People
Yeah.
attack you at once, and by the way, most cases are not a one-on-one situation. So that's why striking is so important, and more than kicks, punches, because you got to be able to move your feet and not stay static. So the leg work of boxing, the pivot, the sidestep, all those stuff are very important.
Mm-hmm.
Working that a lot, and then the street boxing program, what we'll do is I'm gonna show them just boxing moves, punch, slip, counter the jab, but afterwards we'll take our gloves off. I say here's some options for the street. The same slip, I could instead of punching, for example, I could attack your eye. Instead of a jab, I could throw an elbow or a hammer fist or a palm strike. But I'm using the same mechanics as boxing, just with a street mentality.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you kind of they practice their boxing to develop the core skill, and
Exactly.
then you introduce the other techniques into it after. Yeah.
Exactly.
That would definitely work because the mechanics are exactly the same. So, all right,
Exactly.
sir. Well, I want to thank you for coming on the show. All right, it's been very very enlightening. If someone wanted to train with you, what's the best way to get into contact with you?
Well, you can contact me on Facebook or on Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
Sharir ICCS, and yeah, I'm pretty easy to get in contact with. I know that you had problems with me in the past, but it's because of the we spoke about before.
Oh yeah, not a problem. All right, and your gym is not open to just anybody coming in if they're in Israel, swing by type thing.
We're open.
Oh, okay.
Just contact me. Go ahead and come in. Yeah.
All right. So if you're ever in Israel and in Jerusalem, check you out.
I'll be
Um,
I'll be flying in October to an instructor course in Belgium.
Okay.
And then first weekend of November, we'll have an instructor course in Florida. And the second
Right.
weekend of November, I'm going to have a pro course, ICCS pro course in Costa Rica.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, sir. Like I said, this was very interesting conversation. I especially like the part about not referring to it as self-defense, but as hand-to-hand combat, just to help change the mindset. And I want to thank you for that.
You're welcome. I had a great time.
All right. Well, thank you for being on the show, and we'll see you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.